With the release of Yama, we need to talk about Phosani's Nightmare and Nex. And so that's what we're going to do today in this ramble. Also, these rambles are all on Spotify, so go check it out, pinned in the comments and in the description. You get everything you get right here, ad-free, and we're trying to build the audience over there. So thank you all that have migrated over. There's actually been quite a few of you that have jumped. And he says, Yama makes me feel bad for Phosani's Nightmare. I couldn't agree more. He says, the drop tables for these two bosses feel backwards. I appreciate that Yama is accessible and has reasonable drop rates and good regular drops, but Phosani's Nightmare is hog wild for dozens of hours to maybe get a unique, with few, if any, valuable normal drops. I understand the God Wars style. It's not God Wars dungeon style drop rates. It's not. Whoever fucking that rumor has been spread until the end of time. That's not God Wars. And that's what they were trying to go for, and they failed miserably. And we'll talk about it. I understand the God Wars dungeon style drop table, but the drops per hour, even after last year's improvements, are so pitiful. The sad part is that I want to kill Phosani's Nightmare because it's fun and challenging. I'm actually like just getting PTSD reading about this again. Sad part is I want to kill Phosani's Nightmare, but because it's fun and challenging, but I can't justify it between the marathon to get there and bad rates for what is basically niche gear. Thank you. This is an ongoing problem. I have been such a huge advocate of ripping the fucking Band-Aid off already. Like, this is so crazy that we're halfway through 2025 almost, and we are still not even close to a reasonable drop rate for Phosani's Nightmare, for Nightmare in general. It's out of control. There's no reason for it. There's literally no reason for it. It was the biggest blunder of PVM history to have these kind of drop rates. And they have updated the drop. I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure it's like 7 times. I think they've updated the drop table 7 times across Nightmare and Phosani's Nightmare. It used to be when, I've said this before in like Sae Bae casts, but on the week of release, like a few days after release, people were calculating that to greenlog Nightmare was going to take 6,500 hours. 6,500 hours. That is literally getting 200 mil agility twice. Like, it was out of control, and they made massive changes to it to make it more bearable. And the scaling was, I don't even know if there's like a word for it. It wasn't even like the scaling of it was absurd. It was just like childish, almost like stupid. Like, it's like nobody understood what the math was behind this. You were able to do like an 80-man Nightmare back then, and the scaling was so bad that it was like nobody thought it out at all. But the drop rates were so bad that if you were to go for a specific orb, let's just say you wanted to get a harmonized orb in an 80-man mass, it would take, I think the number was 96,000. It would take you specifically 96,000 80-mans to get that drop on rate. So if you went, 5x rate, we're looking at something like 450,000 kills for a fucking pixel item in this game. And it's shitty now. We have a shadow. It's just like, and again, that was like the most egregious. They've still not addressed that. It's still horrible. But then they came out with Phosani's Nightmare. It was a massive increase because not only did they have the sleepy tablet, but they also just pumped up the drop rate significantly, sped up the fight and everything. So that was already like a 30% drop increase, and it was still out of control. And they have just done another like 40% drop increase from that. And it's still so bad. It's so bad. Like, what is happening? So I remember talking to Mod Kieran on the Sae Bae cast last year, and even he agrees. He's like, it's just so hard because, and I was saying, like, we need to rip the Band-Aid off. The 1 in 113, 1 in 115, whatever the drop rates are still so bad. We could still triple it. We could go 300% better drop rates at this point. And then it would finally be in a good spot, in my opinion. Like, I kid you not. It could be a 1 in 40. A 1 in 40 to get a drop there, and it would finally be in a good, healthy spot where it's a reasonable option to go and kill Phosani's Nightmare for some niche armor if it's not even good. Did you guys know that Inquisitor's Great Helm has only 4 strength? 4. It's worse than a SERP. It's a fucking great helmet. It's got 4 strength to it. It's horrible. You literally have to rock this full set to get any real good bonuses to it. And the crush bonus is useless now. We have a horn. Everyone's going to be blowing their fucking Yama horn. So specs are already guaranteed. You don't even need Inquisitors. That was like the only niche for it, was hopefully hitting your hammer, you know? And it's just pointless now. And the whole time you had to bring the full set. So it's just, everything about it is so bad. We could talk about stats, but I'm going to keep this ramble, just focus on drop rates. Listen, we need to do something about this because, as this man said, Nightmare, Phosani's Nightmare in particular, is genuinely fun. It's a fun fight, and they've ruined it by making it never worth doing unless you're an endgame Iron Man that's now going to go for this shit because you're a clogger and you're addicted and you can't help yourself. And you're now just going for green log, and it's just horrible. So, yeah, and especially with the release of Yama. With the release of Yama, we now have this insanely powerful armor. Doesn't require anything else. So that's what we're going to talk about next. Next requires Bandos. Now, for a main account, that doesn't really mean much because you can just buy it. I mean, in fact, main accounts in general, none of this really means that much. Everything's just tied to prices, but it still does mean something. But it's really from an Iron Man's lens, and I think you guys can all appreciate that. It's just like how, you know, kind of like the stepping stones of gear upgrades. Now, we are just... Inquisitors was never even in the picture. Inquisitors was never something you're going to get as an upgrade to your arsenal, which I find just absolutely stupid. Because it's not like Third Age. The Inquisitors was always an actual armor set. There's a difference between going for something really silly like Third Age or something, or Dragonstone armor. That's not even an upgrade. I don't know why I brought up that example, but like there are reasonable armor sets that should be kind of a stepping stone to the next thing, or at least something you can go for if you want to. You know what I mean? And we have Torva, which I'm not gonna lie, I was upset about the 30% drop nerf to Yama armor. I thought it was already in a good spot personally, but I didn't lose any sleep over it. I understand what they're trying to do, trying to make it compete with what we already have, sort of. But listen, the problem was not Yama, in my personal opinion. Now, again, just my opinion. Leave it all down in the comments. There's also Spotify comments. If you guys are on Spotify, drop a comment down below as well. And I just lost my train of thought talking about Spotify. Crap. No. So, yeah, we were talking about, like, Yama's 30% stuff. I understand where they're going with that, but the problem is Nex rates, or Torva rates. The problem is Inquisitors rates. Those are the real problems. Now, Oathplate is just what you go for these days. There's also another issue with Nate is not face guard, or whatever that thing's called. The jaw that you get, Basilisk jaw that you equip to your Nate is not. That helmet is useless now. It's just useless. Like nobody wants to go kill 1,000 Basilisk Knights. Unlock the task first, and then actually I don't even know if you have to unlock it. Is it already an unlock? Or is it just certain Slayer Masters? I'm not going for that grind. I don't think anybody ever will these days, because you literally have this new super shiny helmet that's just better. I think the only thing that's worse about it is like the prayer bonus. I think that's it. But that's another issue that we need to talk about. But yeah, this Oathplate stuff is very, very powerful, and the hours really didn't need to be touched. I think what really, truly needed to be touched was Nex rates. I honestly don't think Nex needs that absurd of rates. I really don't feel like it needs it. It's like multiple hundreds of hours to get full Torva on rate. And if you don't have best in slot gear, if you're not running duos with the fucking Giga Chad next to you, and you're never dying, and you guys both have Zuck helmets, so you're getting 15, KC entries. I mean, yeah, it can be a little bit faster than that. But for most people that are grinding Torva, it's absurd. It's such an insane grind. And I've seen people go stupidly dry for it. So we need to touch on these Nex rates and Phosani's Nightmare rates, just Nightmare in general. We need to have an honest discussion. We need to have an honest look at this game and rip these fucking band-aids off. Listen, there is this illusion, I'm claiming it is an illusion, that if you are to, rip these band-aids off, there's going to be a massive something horrible is going to happen in the economy. Like the game's going to go crazy, or, you can't make items more common, or what the hell is going to happen to the price, and everyone's going to grind it, and it's all going to be a shit show. And what about the people that already did it? Isn't that going to be a devaluation? Let me just point out an example that really happened and nobody said a fucking word about it. That was the nightmare rates going from 1 in 166 to 1 in 113, or whatever it is. I think it's 1 in 113. Literally, they made a massive change. That is a massive increase to the drops that are coming into the game now. Nobody said a word because it was universally a good decision by Jagex. It truly was. Nobody gave a fuck. Literally, did anybody hear one complaint or one thing of, you devalued my grind? Nobody cared. I am a person that suffered 1,200 hours at Nightmare, and I have been screeching for like 3 to 4 years now that these drop rates need to be improved. I am the one that's getting fucked in the ass the hardest. I really am, and I do not care. And anybody else really doesn't care either. I think most people just want what's best for the game. I honestly feel like that. There might be a handful of people that really care for some weird reason, but I mean, it's not a weird reason. It makes sense. It sucks to get your stuff devalued, but we got to look at the health of the game, and nobody really had a problem with that. And I don't think anybody would have a problem with for example, 50% drop increase to Torva. So Torva right now, I believe, is like a 1 in 250 per piece at Nex. And you could just straight up make that like a 1 in 160, something like that per piece. And again, that's per kill. So if you're in a trio, it would still take you like, whatever that is, 480 trios to hit like a specific Torva piece. I honestly don't feel like that's that crazy to make a positive change, a positive improvement, because Nex has always been seen as just like, well, going to be here for the next few months. Like if you grind it every day, you're going to be there for months before you green log that place, or before you even get your full Torva. And you have to get full Bandos first. Like, it's crazy on an Iron Man when you could just go to Yama. And you literally just grind some TDs, easy as shit, go to Yama, get your best in slot armor until the end of time. And there's no like huge desire to go for Torva after you already have full Oathplate. I even think Oathplate looks better as well. That's subjective, obviously. But we also need to talk about just Inquisitor's stats. The Inquisitor's Great Helm needs +6 strength. It just does. It needs that. And also, we need some method of fortifying Inquisitors. That's my personal take on that. That doesn't need to happen, but I do feel like most people just feel like it's the squishiest armor of all time. It's the equivalent of adamant, by the way, if you guys didn't know. It's really bad. And we could have some sort of fortified version. Maybe that could come from another boss around that Ashihama place, the nightmare, the sleep area. Maybe there could be like a demi little boss, or even something like, I personally like that sort of skilling thing that we have with Yama, where you like mine Oathplate shards. They could do something similar. Do you know how there's like those mines in that tunnel, like the sleep tunnel, right before you get to Nightmare? There's like some mines over there. What if there was some high level rocks where now if you have grinded full Inquisitors, you can actually go mine these rocks and maybe have like a nice chill skilling grind with mining and smithing, and you get these certain stones that are rare over there, and you can just fortify your Inquisitors. Something like that, where now skilling is actually kind of in a like a part of this, you know what I mean? And then massively increase the drop rates, make it like a 1 in 40 per, just to get a drop at Nightmare, or just go in there, look at it, rip the goddamn Band-Aid off, look at Nex, make those drop rates way, way better, 50% in my opinion. And we just need to do this for the health of the game. I really feel this. Like, I haven't even read any of these comments, but let's just read this guy. Phosani's Nightmare is so fun. It would be worth the grind if it didn't feel like a drop is hitting the lottery. Yeah, that's so bad. It's so bad. And honestly, I know there was an uproar of people freaking out about Yama's 30% drop nerf. That did suck. And the reason is because of these pieces of content. Torva, for example, being super astronomically rare. Inquisitors being super, super rare. Now, I understand it is an MMORPG. Things should be rare, but a 50% increase to Torva pieces is still an insanely long grind. It would still be like 200 hours. It would still be something like that. You know what I mean? Because I'm pretty sure somebody, I actually haven't calculated the hours, and there's so many ways of killing next, to be fair. But somebody was saying getting full Torva really is about like a 250 to 300 hour grind. If that were to get to like 150 to 200, that's still an insane amount of hours for a video game. Like, can we just like think about that for a second? I'm not even going to touch on Chambers. You guys know my thoughts on Chambers, but that, yeah, we'll talk about that. Anyway, I just needed to make this rant. This is not even a ramble. This is a rant of me just screaming right now, because this game is getting out of control with the drop rates, and we keep seeing these nerfs because we need to stay in line with these outdated, insanely crazy drop tables. I don't know. Listen, guys, I'm okay with drops being rare, but my philosophy, this is like the Sae Bae philosophy, things that should be rare are pets and cosmetics and fun little, mutagens at Zulrah. Pets. I already said pets, but think about pets, for example. Phosani's Nightmare. If you wanted a green log Phosani's Nightmare, you're never going to be going for the pet last. Like you're just not. You're going to have 6 pets on your log before you've green logged Phosani's if you were to stay there, because that fucking jar specifically. But why do we need to have that? The Nightmare pet should be really rare, and then everything else should be like reasonable. You know what I mean? Like, we've gone backwards, I feel like, on some pieces of content. It's bizarre to me. Anyway, I wanted to just make this whole video. Now, I'm going to actually have this post link so you guys can see the comments below. I'm not even going to cover them but it's just everybody agrees, like, universally. This is out of control. So let me know, guys. Do you think we should rip these Band-Aids off? Do you feel like, no, the game's fine, it's totally good? Am I delusional for having these views and just continually just harping on it for the last like 4 years on every cast and every ramble? I don't know. I want what's best for the game. I want the game to feel reasonable. I want you to go to a piece of content and feel like you can get a drop. You know what I mean? It's just the worst thing ever, going to a piece of content and genuinely feeling like it's a miracle to see something. It's just not good. It's not good. I really feel that way. So anyway, that's enough for me. As always, pinned in the comments is the Spotify show. Give it a follow, and I really do appreciate you guys. I am trying to grow the show over there. Thank you all very much, and I'll see you guys around. Peace.